Welcome in, welcome in, welcome once again to the newest edition of the 3 in, 3 out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am joined live by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. And of course, Brandon, we went into the lion's den. We went into the belly of the beast. We went into overtime despite being up 10 with 4 minutes, 32 seconds to go. And we came out with the W. I'm still flying high. I just rewatched to get prep for 3 in, 3 out. I want to check in with you. How is your Hawkra, Brandon?
My Hawkra is strong. I feel like I should have worn like a Sub-Zero mask or a Scorpion mask to counteract the blue Sub-Zero mask into this recap show, because that was the Lions thing, right? And we turned the tables against them.
Yes, the fatal, what do they call that in Mortal Kombat? Whatever that fatal blow thing was, right? Where you rip the guy's spine out. That was pretty much Tyler Lockett touching the pylon. The pylon being the proverbial ripping of the skull through the whole, skeleton through the body with the bleeding body out. And those are the Lions fans. Not to rag on them too much. They're kind of kind and they've had a hard go of it, and pretty good franchise, but at the same time, they were fatally wounded with that Tyler Lockett blow, which was sublime.
Kale Lively joining us in the chat, giving us an in for pre-show convo. That's one of the things that we started doing on YouTube Live. So if you are listening to this via the podcast and not catching it live, we just had a chat about a few different things before the show started. And that way, if you want to go back and listen to it, you go on out to YouTube, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Look for the live shows there, and you can catch everything that we talked about, as exciting as it was.
It really, really maybe was some exciting talk. Brandon, not quite as exciting as this game. This is 3 in, 3 out. You and Adam did a wonderful live reaction, live and on Catfish recap yesterday. That's, of course, on YouTube and the audio channels as well. That you guys did a wonderful job. You canvassed quite a bit, but as you know, Brandon, the 3 in, 3 out is about the nooks. It's about the crannies. It's about the underbelly of the game. It's the game within the game and the micro moments. And I cannot wait to dive into these because I feel like I've got such good juicy ones this week for you. But Brandon, there's just one thing that even all the way dating back to last year, I know there's a rule. I know there's one rule and one rule on 3 in, 3 out. But for the life of me, Brandon, I can't remember the rule. Again, I need to tag team Bushwhacker, need the help. What's the rule, dude?
It's really weird because I feel like we already started with somewhat of an in, because we just heard from Kale, who is in chat, who started with an in for the pre-show convo. And I feel like it should have triggered for you, Clinton, that when we win, we start with an in.
We start with an in. I forgot. Thank you, Kale. Thank you, Brandon. Let's hit the whammy. Let's get to that first in. Let's go. Excellent. I've got my sheet here. So if you hear some rustling and rattling, this is prep right here, ladies and gentlemen. So that's how you know it. I have a pencil and a pencil sharpener, and I've got my notebook, and I rewatched the game. So I am highly prepped. There you go. Look at that. That's a map. Is that a map? Is that Zelda?
No, where is this?
I think that's Zelda.
No.
I know if Zelda's the area.
Zelda.
It's congratulations. It's beautiful looking. All right. Q2, 9:42 to go in the quarter. It is 7-7 ball game. Detroit is on our 31-yard line. Now, this is a 4th and 4 play. So you might be going, aha, I know where you're going, right? So Detroit's on Seattle's 3rd and 1, 4th and 4. Detroit's got 4 wide. Goff in shotgun. You got Monty in the backfield. I call him Monty, kind of like you call Charbonnet Sharbs. It's real cute.
Sharbs.
Yeah. By the way, Montgomery is going to be out for several weeks. Heal up, dude. I think you're a good baller. I like you as a running back. I hope you get healthy real fast. We got 4 wide. Amon-Ra is motioning left to right, so it becomes like a trips right formation. And then and Seattle only rushes 3. So we drop 8 back in coverage. On the hike, you got St. Brown running a little out and trying to drag some folks with him. And you got Laporta just dragging across the middle. Brandon, this is the play where forever, for so many years, these little conversions, the guys are wide open, right? The guys are wide open. Easy pitch and catch. Tight ends and slot guys between the hashes, easy conversions. But Brandon, do you know who makes this beautiful PBU to really stand out in this position? Do you know what player I'm highlighting for our first in? Do you know who it is?
I am fairly certain, at least 5% not certain, that it is Devin Witherspoon, the 5th overall pick, that got the PBU here.
It is. You are 95%. Well, actually, you're 100% right. And with 95% confidence, it is number 21 Witherspoon. And the beautiful part here, Brandon, is you got Amon-Ra running this little rub to the outside, which he doesn't hit him because he can't hit him, but he's certainly starting to distract him. He's in the way of Witherspoon. So Witherspoon has to kind of just run through a little bit of crosstown traffic and then turns on the jets, sprints across. Goff is on time. There's some pressure on Goff. He's on time. Unloads it to Laporta, which we saw throughout the game that if the thing is in Laporta's area, he's like the big rock guy from the Never Ending Story. Big, strong hands, right? Okay, but that doesn't matter when the ball does not get to your hands. Witherspoon goes all Superman style, gets the PBU, 4th down play, breaks it up. Brandon, besides the in for Witherspoon, just the love for how'd you feel that Witherspoon changed the dynamic of our defense? Did you feel that he did? And what else did you like about that play or what we saw from the 5th overall selection?
Well, the downside was that we still didn't have the full complement of Seahawks cornerbacks on the field at one time. So I don't know if I can fully measure the impact. It was just that on that play, the fact that we were able to get a 4th down stop for one was huge. And he ended up having 2 stops on the day. The one thing about Devin Witherspoon that I wanted to highlight was not just the fact that he had that 4th down stop, which was huge, but in terms of his PFF grades, number 3 on the defense in terms of his run defense grade.
Yes, that's awesome. I did not know that, but just going back after watching that rewatch, he hits, man. He comes up to the line. He smacks dudes. He's a pretty darn sure tackler. I don't care about him, losing on a flea flicker. Bravo to Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell for being like, we're going to see if we can go, just go with the rookie. They did. They get 6 on that, whatever. He'll learn. He tackles along the line. He's aggressive. I like what I see in Devin Witherspoon. We're going to see a bit of a youth movement as we march on from today. Anything else on Witherspoon? Or are you ready to get to some of the, let's call it the sober yin of this?
I wouldn't say I'm ready to get to it, but we have to get through the bad stuff to get to the good stuff.
That is the ins and outs. Let's hit the whammy. Let's get to that out. Okay, out number 1. If you think you hate it now, wait till you drive it. Here we go. Q2. This is right around the same area. 8:37 to go. 7-7 ball game. Seattle is now on Detroit's 27-yard line. Brandon, I had a really hard time with the second half of the second quarter. I had a really, really hard time with the second half of the second quarter. We did a lot of dumb things. We tried to give this game away for a little bit there. Mistakes, mental mistakes, execution mistakes, coaching mistakes. The second half of the second quarter was porous and poor. This is one of them. Now, you're going to be like, how in the world can you give this guy an out? Because it's 3 and 3 out. We'll make it the first out, and we'll, of course, evolve back to
bring it back and make up for it.
We'll praise the man later. We're sitting in 11 personnel. Geno is under center, and you got K9 in the backfield. This play in particular, let's see. It's a nifty play in the sense that they actually pull Lewis. So Damian on a play action play. So it's play action to K9. They're still pulling Lewis to come over, and it's Disley chips Hutchinson, and Lewis pulls around and engages Hutchinson, which we negated all day long. And there's a nice little pocket there that emerges. Geno has steps up because he's getting a little pressure from the outside. There's so much green in front of him, so much green. He decides to kind of like run towards the line of scrimmage and then fires a ball downfield, way out of bounds, nowhere near Lockett. He had a good, I'm not going to say he had 10 or 15 yards. That's just being too dramatic. But where the linebacker was positioned, if he just angles to the sideline, he easily has 6, maybe 7, maybe 8 yards if he does a Patrick Mahomes ball extender or, Russell Wilson back in the day ball extender. He chooses to not run it. It's the thing, man, is it's first down. We are driving the ball. We're at the 27-yard line. We are moving the chains. What Why take that shot? Just take the freaking easy yards. Just take the yards. Next play's a draw, goes nowhere. We don't convert on third down. And then odd year Myers misses a field goal. We lost so much momentum. I love Geno. He played amazing. We'll talk about that a bit, but this is 3-3 out. That's a bad decision. So we got to talk about it. That's the out.
And just where it comes in terms of the point in the game is Geno just picks up 31 yards going to Noah Fant. So they've moved in onto the Detroit side of the field. They're inside the 30. And yeah, if he's able to you're being generous, I think, by limiting it to 5 or 6 yards. But say you get 7 yards, then you're inside the red zone, and then you're 2nd and 3. Instead, on 2nd and 10, they run Walker up the middle. They don't get any yardage there, and then you're faced 3rd and 10. And I don't remember if he had to get rid of the ball early on that 3rd down, but
did we decide to screen? Like, what do we do on 3rd and 10? Like, Either way, it's the momentum, and that's exactly it. It's the wrong time to make never a good time to make a bad decision, but there are more hurtful times, and it really just wrenched this entire drive, wrenched it all. And I agree with Carly. I should do better. And I certainly should say that Laporta is how I should pronounce that from here on out. So bad decision, great game by Geno. It's an out. It's okay. We got more to get to. Whammy, 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 please. That was thrice the whammy. Okay. I might be in love with this play. So that's a foreshadowing. Q1, 3:06 to go, 7-7 ball game. Seattle, we're at our own 27-yard line. It's 2nd and 5. We got 13 personnel in, Brandon. So we got Parkins, which, by the way, please elaborate and talk about 13 personnel all you want, 12 personnel as we get through this. I loved what I saw. Great dynamic team from that set. We got Parkinson and Disley on the left-hand side. Fant flanked right on the right-hand side. And Bobo is the wide receiver, the sole wide receiver. So that formation alone, that's cool, right? And you got Parkinson, freaking Fant, Uncle Will, and Bobo. And then K9 in the backfield. Oh, no, sorry, Charbonnet in the backfield in this particular case. That screams to me, and we need to talk about this, right? And then beyond that, Bobo comes in motion right to left, and this is a fun name to say. And then Bobo chooses violence, Brandon. Bobo chose a life of violence. It's a run play to Charbonnet to the left-hand side. Bobo goes on a murder, death, kill spree that we need to recognize. Disley engages his guy. I just think it's one of the defensive ends, whatever. Bobo destroys that guy, clears him out, turns upfield. It's either a free safety, maybe it's a linebacker, runs headlong into that guy, blows him back, and Charbonnet's still going because he's just running tough. And then Bobo engages CJ Gardner, right? What side do we count?
Chauncey Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, there you go. Gardner Johnson, sorry. I know he's got a lot of names. I know they just reported that he might be out for the year with a torn pec.
Man.
That absolutely sucks. That guy's such a baller. So sorry to hear that. But the good stuff, back to Bobo. Bobo got a 3-for-1 on a run play with 3 other tight ends on the field. And I say other tight ends because Bobo might emerge as as a move tight end, as a slot tight end at some point. Brandon, he chose violence, and I choose to put the glory on Jake Bobo for 3 blocks in one. This is how you Nelson Muntz. Remember that Simpsons episode where Bart's the quarterback and Homer's the coach?
Uh-huh.
And Nelson's
I remember the episode.
Yeah,
You're cut.
Yeah, exactly. You're cut. And Nelson's just picking dudes up and using them as like human shields to block them. It just gave me all that joy, Brandon. So how do you feel about Bobo and 13 personnel in general? What do you want to share?
Well, we'll start with Bobo and his run blocking prowess because there was one guy who finished in the 80s for his run blocking grade on PFF, and there was only one other player that finished in the 70s. Everybody else was 60 or lower. With an 85 grade, Jake Bobo gets recognized for his run blocking prowess. And maybe it was just for this play alone and being able to take out so many guys. And that's one of the things that I liked about him, even from the first game and even in the preseason. If you go and you watch, he will block a guy until that guy is out of the play, and then he'll find another guy to go block. He's just not content with finding one guy, taking him out of the play, and being done. He wants to see how many he can stack as he goes out and run blocks. And as far as the 13 personnel goes, with the 3 tight ends, the 1 wide receiver, essentially when it's Bobo out there and your 3 tight ends, you're generally telling the defense that we're going to run the ball against you right here because DK's not on the field, Tyler's not on the field. You can throw out of this because obviously we saw from Fant and Disley and Colby that they had more than 100 yards combined at least, or they were close. And so that formation and having Bobo out there, that's fun. And when you can get positive yardage because of it, and with them knowing, and that's fun.
Yeah, it feels old-timey football. Like put the leather helmets on there and just line up, smack dudes, and win. Charbonnet got a 10-yard gain on that play. I think it was 10 yards. And by the way, you mentioned the tight ends. Yeah, they were well over 100. I think they were close to like 119, 120 as a conglomerate. 12 and 13 personnel, highly successful. Bobo as a run blocker, Bobo on special teams. Look, he got 1 reception. That's fine too. That's cool. It's cute. The nice part is he's going to get time because he does these things. In Tell the Truth Mondays, that they are glorifying this play right there and cheering this on. And he's going to get, I'm not saying he's going to play 50 snaps a game, but the snaps he gets, he's going to make them count. And that's what I love about him. And it excited the crap out of me. So, all right, we got another out to get to. So let's do it. And, let's be rapid with it because we got so much good to get to still. Okay. Brandon, I mentioned that quarter 2 was a struggle for me. I'm still reeling about it. The reason we almost gave it away is what it all boils down to. If Detroit executes a little bit better and takes the momentum into half with more, a bit more aggression, and then doesn't cough it up at the first play of the third quarter, could be a completely different game. Now I get that's how football is, and we got the turnover. It's all good. I think we definitely deserve to win the game. However, that last half of the second quarter was real strange to me. So this particular
play of the second quarter too.
So yeah. So yes, that wasn't great either. So this in particular also set this up that I didn't like this at all. So quarter 2, 51 seconds to go, 14-7 Detroit. Detroit's punting basically from their goal line. This is how dedicated I am, Brandon. Jack Fox. That is the Lions punter. I went back. I was like, who is this madman? It's Jack Fox. He's punting from about the 2 when he's actually kicking the ball. He completely outkicks the coverage. He booms it like 60 yards. DJ Dallas. Yeah. DJ Dallas catches the ball right like the 36, like Seattle 36. There's nobody there, Brandon. There's no one there. It's a good on screen, a good 15 yards, but by the time he catches it and gets his motors running, which takes DJ a little bit of time, it's about 10 yards of separation. He fair catches it. The only silver lining is maybe he was told fair catch it because the time's more valuable at 44 seconds. Maybe. But dude, there's 10 yards of green in front of him and there's a lane. So, and we praise DJ for going north-south really, really well when he gets the opportunity. He does that thing really, really good, Brandon. He chose nonviolence. He chose to fair catch it. And you can see him like look around and be like, damn, he knows he missed an opportunity. So I'm going to call him out. What do you think, dude?
Yeah, you got to call him out on this because even if you do coach a guy in that situation because what you don't want to do is have the guy catch the ball, run around try and get to the sideline or try and bounce around and waste time.
Yep.
But in this situation, you have to play it. And I will speak to this a little bit later in the show, but it is very much dependent on the situation to decide whether or not you can break certain coaching points. And if you're able to look downfield and not see anybody coming at you, you see the ball coming to your hands. I think that DJ Dallas, as a veteran on this team, should have the leeway to say, hey, I can catch this. I can take it north and south, and I can get 10 yards. And hey, even if maybe I have to take a knee just to prove that I wasn't anywhere close to getting touched, but I still got some positive yards.
Right. 10 yards and a slide still would have worked, right? I would have taken that.
I mean, 10 yards and a tackle would have worked too. It still stops the clock, but it would have emphasized the point that, hey, I caught it and I had all kinds of room that I could even slide down.
Exactly. If he was capable, if he could have done a Marquise Goodwin backflip if he was so capable. I'm not sure DJ can do that. We'll see. I don't think he probably could get that kind of backwards momentum with that body type. And it's just there was these little things in that Q2 like that were just bad decisions, bad execution that just left meat on the bone going into halftime, and we almost got burnt. Almost. We didn't. Obviously, second half was pretty darn blazing, and we'll talk more about that soon. And I want us to be stronger and better and just take advantage of situations like that when a team gives you a gift. When you're given a gift, Brandon, you open it up, you say thank you, and you take advantage of it. Okay, we got some more ins to get to. One more in, one more out. What do you say we do the whammy thing? Okay, last in for now. Little foreshadowing there. Q2 again. Lot of action in Q2. 13:22 to go. 7-7 ball game. Detroit's at the Detroit 41. It's a 1st and 10. Okay, so in this particular one, they've got I think 2 tight ends in there. Actually, 3 tight ends, and or 2 tight ends and then a fullback who it's like a tight end that actually goes into motion and lines up in fullback. So you got Goff under center, and then you got a fullback, and I think it's Montgomery in the backfield. This is not about the Lions. On this particular play,
now
Brandon,
we've got all of the personnel in place. Where on the sideline was the coach standing? Where was Dan Campbell in this moment?
About probably about 31-yard line, if I had to guess. Right,
now,
now I
have the complete picture. Thank you.
Right where like he's allowed to be, but like a shade over where he's not allowed to be, because Dan Campbell's gonna, he's gonna just push exactly. He's gonna push every advantage that Campbell can get, right? But this play is specifically about Mario Edwards Jr. because I want to highlight this dude not only on this particular play, Brandon, but he had a pretty good game. And I think it's been talked about in passing a little bit. With that, I don't think there's going to be many other Seahawks shows that go like, we need to talk about Mario Edwards Jr. for a little bit. So I'm going to pride myself on this particular cranny. So folks who don't know yet, he's number 97 out there. If you're like, what number does he even wear for us yet? Didn't really have a big game, nor did really anybody last week, but number 97. This is so nicely done, Brandon. Very quickly on the snap, he bodies number 89, which is a second tight end. His name is Brock Wright. They got some great names. Was it Jack Fox and Brock Wright? That's obviously a tight end.
Jack Campbell on the defense.
Yes, you got Jack Campbell. Exactly. Sam Laporta as for Car out there. And so Mario Edwards just sleds number 89, Brock Wright. I mean, 3 yards back, sleds him into the backfield, sheds him, and then just bodies Montgomery. He can't go anywhere. Beautiful tackle. It's like a 3.5-yard tackle for a loss. I just want to put some love on Mario Edwards' name. No one's really talking about him yet as a contributing Seahawk. That's what this show really is all about. So he's going to get a big in for me. That play, he played pretty well all game long. What kind of love you got for Mario?
One stop on the day. That's the one that you named. He did have a missed tackle, which we can gloss over that while we give him the in.
Sure.
But we need, I think one of the things with 3 in, 3 out, we have to recognize these guys and kind of build them up, because we're going to need Mario Edwards as this moves forward. We need those big guys in the middle to help stop the run. And really, I think as you give this to Mario, you could really give it to a lot of the members on the defensive line for bottling up that Detroit Lions run game on the day.
Yeah, this is 2 weeks in a row where the run stopping in obvious rundowns looked really, really good. Now, the one piece that I think we could do a little bit better on, if you're watching on YouTube, you got to see this. Phil putting out the Mario theme song, which is just lovely. So good job, Mr. Phil. We'll talk with you tomorrow when we get to What If. Excited that you're hanging out live. The one piece that the Lions did that I thought was kind of cool, actually, is when they purposely run the ball, on like 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, when they know they're going for it on 4th down. We just kept getting, they duped us a couple of times on that. Yes, we got some 4th down stops, but there were a couple of 3rd down like trap runs where we're just not in the right scheme. And 3rd and 7, they're running the ball because they already know, hey, we're going for it on 4th down.
Well, when Bobby Wagner's the only guy in the middle of the field and you can pull one of your guards through that hole and get that guard onto Bobby Wagner, you're almost locked to be able to get a 1st down.
Yeah, I expect more NFL teams to gravitate towards that conceptually. It's like we're out there in some sort of a dime. It's a pass dominated down, 3rd and long, and you're like, we don't care. We're running 2 plays anyway, so stop us twice. So a little bit of kudos to the Lions. I know they got burnt a couple times going for it on 4th down where they could have taken points. We got burnt on a couple of field goals that hopefully go through the uprights last time. So I think it all works out. And that's that. All right, we got one more out, Brandon, before we get to our extracurriculars. So let's whammy, please. Kind of feel dirty, kind of ending our last in with a bit of an out there. I feel like I need to cleanse the Hawk, but we have a way to do that coming up in just a bit, Brandon. We do. All right, last out, Q4. So now we're deep into the game. By the way, Q4, 4:32 to go. We're winning 31-21. Just want that to sink in for a second. We're up by 10 with 4:32 to go. And this game went to overtime. We win it. Great. But we're up by 10 with 4 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. This particular play, Detroit's at Seattle's 29-yard line. It's a 1st and 10. Goff's in shotgun. There's nice pressure by Tyreek Smith. He does a little inside, gets inside the tackle, and he forces Goff to kind of flush out to the right. And then Goff finds for Carr La Porta. That's it. La Porta finds La Porta just about 8 yards. I believe they called it like a seam and stop. So just run straight, turn around, basically, right? And Julian Love is, just trying to protect the seam. That makes sense at this time of the game anyway. So that part's fine. It's a completion. Witherspoon goes for the tackle, but he doesn't have a great angle at it. But Julian Love, he's got to do better here, Brandon. He goes for the tackle. Laporta is a big target, so I get it. He kind of tries to go low, but he does not wrap. He ends up at Laporta's ankles, and Laporta goes for 15 more yards down to the 6-yard line. That distance to give that up because of just poor tackling at that point of the game, that's bad, man. That's one of the main reasons this game went to overtime, in my opinion. Yeah. One of the main reasons. You can't give up, what is that percentage-wise? 15%. Let me look at the quick math there, Brandon. You can't give up 15% of the field on one bad tackle, and Julian Love chose to at that moment. Really poor execution. Didn't love it. He's got to wear that out.
When you look at the number of throws that went Julian Love's way on the day, 7 receptions were made on Love on 8 targets for 104 yards. And that was by far the most of any player on the team. But the number that concerns me the most is 28 yards after the catch. Mm-hmm. So after the catch point, he's given up 28 additional yards to get to that 104 amount. And yeah, that's got to be better.
I trust Julian Love will do good things this year. I do. I think he's a good ball player, and that'll come around. Brand new system for the guy. That's all cool. He was okay week 1. Some would say not so hot. Did not really play a great game yesterday. He's wearing this out. It's not just this out. It's kind of emblematic of or
get him a new number. He can't be wearing Jeremy Lane's number out there or Rashad Penny, right? Because
yeah. Or isn't that also Thomas Rawls? Was it Rawls 20 also?
No, Rawls was 34.
34. I was very, very close. Okay. So with that, Julian's going to wear that out. And it was just, I'd say I want to tilt this one. Well, before we get to some of the extracurriculars too, is what do you think happens? Let's say Jamal has a full week. Pete said in his press conference, Jamal's going to be, all gas, no breaks in practice. We'll see how he handles it. If he comes through well, he'll be in the game come Sunday. What do you think happens with Love's playing time if Adams is on the field? Is it just sayonara for a bit, or is it just, let's say it's a couple of weeks later? What do you expect Love's playing time to go to?
this was kind of one of those questions that we had about him coming into the season was how would the Seahawks group of defensive backs actually look once they had a healthy complement? Would it be, who would be the outside corner? Who would be the nickel corner? Do they shift those guys around? Could it be Reek and Witherspoon as your two outside corners and Julian Love then being the nickel along with, that way you have your three safeties on the field? It's a question. I still don't know. I just want to be sure that they have the best guys out there. And right now it kind of feels, based on what we saw from Trey Brown in this game, from what we've seen from Reek in the past, what we've seen from Witherspoon in this game, those feel like the three best corners. And then I think with Diggs and then Jamal coming back, I feel like that's going to be your five best. And then you have to decide, is Julian Love, having him out there, better than having Jordan Brooks out there in certain situations? And that might just be matchup based.
Jordan Brooks has looked darn good. I get it, linebacker versus safety. Brooks has looked remarkable. He's playing so fast. There were so many other ins and places that I could have went to, and we got one more in the hole, which we'll get to in a second. The piece about Trey Brown that's really interesting to me is a couple of weeks ago now, and in the preseason, I was on hey, I think Trey Brown's gonna be a big part of this team this year, when Mike Jack was all the talk in preseason. So I'll take a little victory lap on that one, that I always thought Trey Brown was the more talented defensive back. I've been saying for a couple of weeks now that I think the final Pokemon form of this defense is Tariq and Witherspoon on the outside and Trey Brown as our slot corner. That he's built for, he's like, look at the dude who's like the most Justin Coleman like in size, in quickness. He, to me, is the best cover guy I think he's the best sticky cover guy on the team. If he doesn't have to go up against alpha 6'3", 6'4" guys that can body him a little bit, because he's not the tallest dude, but he can play against the Amon-Ra St. Browns of the world or the Braxton Berrioses of the world. Cool. I think he can be really, really effective. I think at some point, maybe not this year, but I think it's going to be, Brandon, that we're going to see that formation of our two dogs on the outside and Trey Brown in the middle. I think it's our best combination. I don't know if we get there, but I don't know. My gut just says that's our final form factor, and we're going to find a real groove with that. What do you think, man?
I think it's possible. I think it's also possible that one of your guys travels. If it turns out that the better matchup for Witherspoon is on the inside playing nickel, and he can be that shifty, sticky guy in that position, then that's fine too. I'm not set on having Witherspoon on the outside corner spot 100% of the time, especially if he's the better guy and he's the one that can move around. I just don't know if Brown can be that guy in the nickel spot, just because we haven't seen it. And if with Pete being a wizard at defensive backs and coaching them, I have to think that they would have thought of that already, because we saw Kobe Bryant out there week 1 and not Trey Brown. And that's even with the consideration that they had moved Kobe from nickel back to safety in the preseason. It's possible, but I like the way that you can envision it without seeing it. I can't.
Yeah, I got you. You're not convinced yet. I think Trey was not, getting some of that love or the chances inside because of the injuries, because of what was happening with the hamstrings, and Tariq had a small surgery, and Witherspoon had a hammy. So it's just like, all right, we need you outside. That's my bet, is when those guys get healthy, they'll be like, okay, now we have more flexibility and we can experiment. We shall see. We'll see if this plays out. I tend to be able to see some of these things happening before they do take place, and that's my bets. But Brandon, this is 3 and 3 outs. When we win, you reminded me, so I remember now, we start with an in, but that's not the only thing there. We have a little side quill, a little side hustle, that not only when we win do we start with an in, we also get the brand in. This is the extra, the bonus room in above the garage, the game room, if you will. It's your turn. You serve to me. What do you want to highlight? Why you go on there? And why am I so excited?
yeah, we can't close with an out. That just leaves a bad taste in our mouth from this episode. So we got to bring it back. We got to come to me, and I am giving the brand in this week to the guy with the game-winning score. You know, you like to look at the nooks and the crannies. I get to break that rule, and I may go a little bit into the nooks and crannies with this because Tyler Lockett on his game-winning touchdown, and if you didn't hear him in his post-game press conference, this is where a lot of this comes from, because he explained in that post-game press conference that they are coached significantly not to reach out over the goal line to try and break the plane. And they have so many examples from former Seahawks as to why you do not reach the ball out to try and get it over the goal line. You have Earl Thomas, who we remember coming in and doing the arm chop. As the Rams running back is trying to reach out over the goal line, it goes through the end zone. You got Cam Chancellor as Megatron Calvin Johnson is trying to reach the ball over the goal line to get the game-winning score. Cam punches it out. So they are coached not to reach across the goal line. But, and this is where I go back to DJ Dallas and recognizing the coaching points and when you need to maybe take a little bit of your veteran mentality and say, maybe in this case, I can go ahead and do it. Because the cool thing on this play is that Tyler explains that he looked behind him to see how that, whether it was a linebacker or a corner, was tackling him in that position. And you saw he was trying to just push Tyler out of bounds ahead of the pylon so he couldn't reach across. If the guy was coming in at maybe a different angle with his, then Tyler would have done it differently. But he said, based on the way the guy was trying to tackle him, he decided in the moment that he was going to reach out for the pylon. And that just shows you the type of veteran player that Tyler is, that he can think through all that in the moment and say, hey, this guy's not trying to get the ball out in this scenario. I'm going to reach for the pylon and I'm going to win this football game. And so for that, Tyler getting the brand in.
Love it, Brandon. That's philosophical. It's executional, if that's a thing, and it's wonderful. That's for darn sure. I love. I did not hear that after the fact presser about that particular play. You, my friend, you weaved a beautiful arc there. You set it up early in the first stanza. You closed it out with the coda right there. That's how you do good storytelling. We start with an in. We get the brand in, and we're bringing back the MVC, the most valuable cranny. I'll put it on screen now. Drum roll, please. Here it is. Congrats to Jake Bobo, number 19 on the field, number 1 in our hearts. The week 2 MVC for Nelson Munsing, 3 Lions in 1 play. Great job by Jake. That was a ton of fun. And if you're watching on YouTube, you got the glory of seeing the real trophy that Brandon and I will 3D print. We'll package it up. We'll get it to the VMAC, and it will be in Jake Bobo's locker, and people will get around it for photos. It's going to be super, super cool and a real thing. Brandon, did you get the upgraded 3D printer we talked about in the offseason? Did you get the one that's a little faster?
Yeah, the one that's faster, and then you can also blend the blue and the green together, because some of those 3D printers, like they just do the one color.
Right.
It doesn't look right, right for the MVC. So you gotta pay for the upgrade. Thanks to those of you who support the show in the off season. When you wonder where the money is going, when you help support this show by going to getintheflock.com, it's going to really expensive, NASA aged 3D printers, so we can print a worthy MVC trophy that goes physically in the locker of these players.
Yeah, by far the best $112,000 we've ever spent on this podcast. So thank you very much for all the trust. All right, we have one more section to get to. That is, of course, from the flock. I do want to say to the folks that might be hearing this on YouTube, wherever you're watching, that part doesn't matter. This year, I think, Brandon, that we're going to exclusively go to folks in the Discord or the Facebook Ring of Honor. The Discord is where we have the channel set up, and you have to be a member of the flock to participate. We're talking only $3 a month. I've got some folks still out on Twitter sending me some, and I have some that I actually put into the Discord today. So we'll honor that for this week. But just for the sake of having it all in one place, Brandon, I think you put them in the Discord, you put them into the channel in 3 and 3 out, and we will read most of those. What do you think of that? Sounds pretty fair?
We got to pay for this 3D printer somehow.
All right, we'll start with Car. She's with us live right now as well. She says, in a strong start to our first drive, Car, there's nothing wrong about you. You are 1,000% right.
We also got Car watching live saying, in being able to think about the game all week and feel good.
Yeah, love that. Love that. We had the biggest little flocker also saying 12 play, 75-yard drive. And also that it took, Brandon, we didn't even talk about this, 7 minutes and 56 seconds of time of possession. Yes, we gave up a quick touchdown right away. But like Glover Quinn talked about, if you're going to give up touchdowns, might as well make it quick. Right? We were able to flip a little bit the time possession with that.
We got I touch my Bobo with an in, 3rd down and a 4th down stop on the second defensive drive.
Yeah, love it. All right, Frost said, it's still early, but both our backup tackles are performing as good as we could hope for. This is 3 and 3 out, so we didn't talk about Forsyth. We didn't talk about Curran, but man, did they deserve some love? I saw Pete giving them some love. I know you and Adam give them some love in the post game as well. And Frost doing a great job saying it's early because this is going chronologically. He's like, but wow, they blew it out and they were good all game, man. They deserve their flowers.
An out once again from I touch my Bobo coming in to Pete, who you can't read that and not laugh. Pete, who never goes for it on 4th down, thinking the Lions will jump on a hard count when they know he doesn't have the stones to actually snap the ball anyway.
Yeah. That's that part was a little bit frustrating. Let's talk about those frustrating.
Then they burn a timeout right after that.
Oh, you talked about that with Adam. It's like one or the other, fellas. One, not both, because we needed that timeout. Who cares? Go back 5 yards and punt the ball. Bobo could still run down the field and catch it at the 5, just like he did the other one, right? So, yeah, oy vey to that entire thing. All right, we got Maurice. Maurice was actually talking about another one there. So I'll go to Design Pete's Beach House, which is, of course, Amy. She says in winning time of possession in the first half, and she gives it out to Myers, just odd year Myers, and that's a big stat for us.
Yeah. Frost giving an in to Nwosu. Dude is just very good at football. And Greg Olson, he is that good at football, you should learn to pronounce his name.
Yeah, you're being paid a lot of money to do a job like announcing names. Might want to brush up on that. All right, we have Right Hand Dan. He says, I don't know how to say this in an appropriate way. I'm reading this live, so here we go. We're not pooping the bed in disadvantageous positions.
Disadvantageous. Just
like I said, I don't know how to read sometimes live. All right, go to the next one. Thank you, Right Hand Dan.
We got Josh DeHuman giving the in to K9 has awakened and gifted us with a pair of TDs.
Oh, by the way, but I can't read apparently. This is great. He looked good in the red zone. Like it's one thing when you're like, okay, don't dance so much, but then the very next breath you're like, ooh, that little bit of buying yourself a little extra time so you could do the special thing to escape out to the left. You know, that's the sober yin and raging yang of Kenneth Walker III, man. Like the patience is a virtue. We wanted to go north sometimes, but I think all the worry, the big part there, Brandon, is, oh, can he be a goal line guy? Could he be a guy from the 5-yard and inline? Yeah, he doesn't have to be Jerome Bettis to be super effective down by the goal line. He could do it his way, use his patience, see it, and then burst ahead for what was 2 scores. So just a little. Maybe even another little extra cranny in there.
A pass blocking guy. He was in there for more pass blocking snaps than DJ Dallas and Sharps combined.
I love that you call him Sharps. It's very cute. We have Morris in the Discord saying, in Drew Lock, unbeaten in overtime coin tosses for the season. Hey, the hose has spoken. He calls tails, never fails. We win the ball game.
And of course, we have Car with an in to Lockett, an in to Lockett, and another in to Lockett. I have to imagine that came on the game-winning touchdown.
Yes, there was a thrice Lockett's. Love that a ton. We got Jay in Alaska. I think it's the first time I've ever gotten his name right. Not that it's hard. I just jumble it. He says solid mass protection, playing 2 backup tackles. Talked about it a bit. The comment so nice, we kind of had to read it twice.
And Hawk Van Dyke saying, we're not making any of those stupid which 0-2 teams are in the most trouble lists this week.
Yeah, that's thank the maker on that. We avoid that. The Giants avoid that by coming back on the Cardinals after being down 28-0. It's interesting because we play the Giants after the Panthers. So, and see me, Brandon, I'm doing my research. See that? Getting ahead of the game. We got, this is, I think Roger Luke, RGR Luke. I would say Roger Luke.
Ranger Luke.
Oh, Ranger. Okay, Ranger Luke. Again, I don't have my peepers on either, so I can't see so good and I can't read so good. In center play that creates an actual pocket from both Brown and Olu. By the way, Brandon, one of my ins that I just didn't have room for was a seal block by Evan Brown. I think Evan Brown's a pretty good center, man. Yes, Olu stepped in. He looked the part, looked good. I think Evan Brown's a pretty good. It excites me. It's like, I think we have at least a B to B plus center. And that's great. That's good enough.
I'm very happy with him. That's part of the reason why Geno had some space to step up in the pocket in this game. Got Dr. G giving the ins and the outs and giving it to players equally. Trey Brown with an in for the pick 6 and a key pass breakup, but also Trey Brown with an out for giving up an easy late touchdown. Spoon with the clutch 4th down pass breakup, and then an out to Spoon giving up the deep TD on the flea flicker. That was a bummer. You hate to see that, but maybe the rookie learning to be not so aggressive in some of those situations. But he does give an in to our secondary and the depth. Wait until Jamal comes back and they have a few games to gel. It's going to be scary for opposing offenses.
Well, that's okay. You can mess up too. It's all right. It will be a lot of fun. We talked about that all preseason. That look, modern NFL. We think we've built this room is built DBs first for this modern NFL, and we'll see how it shakes. It was definitely a gamble. We still didn't get home all that much. It got a little bit better, but that was on a Trey Brown blitz, and then a Nwosu pressure where Draymond Jones gets the cleanup sack. We had more pressure in the second half. I'm excited about it. It's the right trajectory, right? We started to build like, okay, we made adjustments in the second half to put more pressure on Goff, and it resulted in points on the board and the Lions having to, sometimes not convert on some key plays, whether they were going for it on 4th down or not. That's kind of an unorthodox thing to do. So progress, definite progress. Always good stuff in progress from Lloydzilla. Hugh from the UK, he goes in. He puts a little W before that to be cute with the win. He's talking about Pete going back early and often to using the 12 and 13 personnel. Brandon, I'll take a victory lap with you on this one. Me, you, and Mr. Phil, we talked about this a lot in the What If preview show. We said, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to act with both tackles out?
Right.
And the prediction was less JSN, just not as much 11 personnel, more 12, more 13. And we're going to over rotate in a good positive way to booting Geno left and right and using tight ends. And lo and behold, Brandon, I think we both nailed that one. So pretty proud of that.
Yeah, I saw someone out on Twitter, and I think it was somebody who does fantasy football type content, saying he had a list of concerning snap percentages for players.
I saw you tweet that.
At the top was JSN with 55%. And yeah, from a fantasy owner perspective, you might say, oh, hey, I drafted this receiver. For one, what are you doing drafting JSN super early when he's got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf ahead of him? I mean, that's why you go with, I don't know, Puka Nacua instead, because they've got Stafford. All they do is throw the ball, and he can be the next best Cooper Kupp. JSN has a couple of veteran receivers that he has to get targets away from. They have 3 tight ends who are more senior that they have to try and get, he has to outperform to get targets from. The fact that he was on the field 55% in this game, not a bad thing for the Seahawks. It was what they needed to do with the situation they were in.
Still 5 receptions, at least 1 first down, maybe a couple. The part that I love there, Brandon, is you're spot on, dude. I think he is a fantasy analyst. I was about to say analysis. That's another not a word.
That's very disadvantageous.
Yes. The piece though for me is like, look, we're not the Ravens. We don't need Zay Flowers to get 12 targets. We're not the Vikings. We don't need Jordan Addison to get, to be a Thielen plus replacement this year. That's not our scenario. Our scenario is what it is, where JSN, think about what JSN does get, right? JSN gets to learn from Tyler Lockett, and of course from DK as well, but from a body type perspective, obviously, he's 6'1", and Tyler's more diminutive than that. However, style wise, he's a lot closer to Tyler than he is DK. He gets to watch DK Metcalf. He gets to watch Tyler and even sharpen his craft further while he contributes on a team that has a lot of really good prospects and a good quarterback and good running backs. Hey, fantasy football aside, I'm pretty sure JSN is pretty darn happy with where he landed. And Brandon, I'm pretty darn happy with what you have on the screen, bud. What do you got?
We've got our Ryan 911, our live executive producer, coming in. He's a little bit late, but it's fine. He says, almost missed you all live in this show out. People hating on Geno, they need to do better.
So he obviously should not go back and watch the first out since he missed it, Ryan. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Fast forward past that part. Let's never go back to that again. Hopping back into the Discord, we got living the good life in Bobo once again, putting in the work in the blocking game. Well, living the good life, then you're really going to love this episode because, thank you. We saw things pretty much the same way.
I love that Gornish Slick is calling this out in the YouTube chat, and in to Jarek Reed's play on special teams. He absolutely lit a guy up on special teams. There were two moments where I really enjoyed some big tackles. It was this tackle from Jarek Reed on the punt return, and then there was another play where Quandre Diggs absolutely stole the soul of one of the Lions players on offense. And got to call those guys out.
Yeah, those are great. Usually when there's soul stealing, that's kind of a surefire way to find your way into an in. There was a lot, which is great. The ledger was overweight ins. That's honestly, I get done with the game, I could almost tell you if we won or lost just by the weight of the ledger. It's like there was 5-6 ins that I was like, ooh, that's deserving, but we could only do 3 plus your brand in. So, but love that it got called out. Another advantage to watching live, being on YouTube, is contributing moments like that for things we didn't get to. So I definitely very, very much appreciate that. We got Jay Scott AZ12. Yeah, I think he's in Arizona. Not picky, but an out for that 4th down that we got in quarter 3 at about 6 minutes to go. He's asking, why don't we do the tush push? Why don't we try the tush push, the Jalen Hurts tush push? I'm actually interested. Like, have we seen other teams adopt that yet besides the Eagles? I'm not really sure. I've kind of only seen it exclusively.
The Seahawks do that a little bit last season, but the Avengers, they have a Hulk. We have a Kenneth Walker. So
I love it. But yeah, why not? Love it.
We got Pete's double bubble in the Discord saying, in overtime, drive 2 and 7. 2nd and 7, if you will. Geno snaps the ball, backtracks 6 or 7 yards, and floats one to Colby Parkinson. Colby makes the catch, running backwards, and is so damn smooth as he turns upfield for a few more yards, making it look easy.
One micro out for Colby Parkinson is that I don't know why he chooses to take shots to his knees. Like, when I'm talking, like, he's 6 inches away from just going, we don't need to kill the clock, or if we do kill the clock, it doesn't matter. We don't need to run the clock, right? He does this a lot. This is not like a one-time thing. A lot last year, he's like right by the sidelines. He could just choose to just edge himself out of bounds and not take a hit. It's not like he's putting his shoulder down. He's getting chopped, because how else are you going to tackle a 6'8" guy, Brandon? You chop him at the knees. That's bad news. And he just takes these like little, he goes over the top on the guys and maybe gets a half a yard more, but he got his knees taken out. It's like, dude, Colby, just step out of bounds. We love you, dude. It's not a big deal. However, beautiful drive. And also Jeremy Evergreen in the Discord, also similar vibe, but he was just saying the play calling in OT, it was brilliant. Shane Waldron in scripted scenarios is, really, really good. Sometimes it's the middle of the game where I get a little wonky and I go, Shane, are you with me here, brother? But his scripted stuff, when he's coming out to start halves, start quarters, start overtime drives, chef's kiss. So great job calling that out. We have a few more to get through, but a chunky section, but deserve it because, man, when we win, hey, more people want to contribute, and we're here for that.
One of those contributors from Twitter is Scott Campbell at 33 Scott Campbell. And you know what? I think I have to give Scott an invite, if he doesn't have one already, to the Discord, so that way he can continue to contribute. If you're a frequent contributor out on social media, and hit me up via the social media channel, and I will send you an invite to the Discord. You don't even need to go to getintheflock.com, because you have been helping to produce this 3 in 3 out show over the years, so you get grandfathered in. I'll throw that out to Scott. He's got an in for Geno. What a game. I don't know why people were calling him out last week. He was superb. In DK, great game after the blowups last week, and no drops, and after he even got injured. And an into the tight ends came up huge many times. And I went back, I did the math while we were doing this, Clinton. Yes, over 130 yards receiving from your 3 tight ends.
Love it. That's a beautiful, beautiful place to park for today. A great W, a huge, fantastic, just exciting and wonderful W, despite having to face Laporta and the illness and the badness of Greg Olsen, kind of the muck of him. We get to shed that off and say we still go into the Lions Den. We get the W, Brandon. It was a ton of fun. We went through the ins, we went through the outs, we went through the Brandon, we rewarded the MVC, we partied hardy with from the flock in the Discord, and now, Brandon, in a couple days, I get to get on a plane. I go from Denver to Bozeman. Adam's picking me up. I get to hang out with you guys in Montana on Thursday night and Friday. We're driving to Seattle on Saturday. We're going to the game on Sunday. Brandon, I am ecstatically fired up for everything we're about to go do. I am pumped to see you, dude. I'm going to give you a big hug. I might even give you a squeeze. I might.
I hope it's a tush squeeze.
The tush push. And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.